Chapter 18, January 20th, 2201, aboard the USS Challenger. They woke to the sounds of a series of beeps, and then Merkel said, "Gentlemen, it's time to wake up. We are approaching the moon. You still have some time to move around the cabin, eat breakfast, and use the bathroom. In 2 hours, you will need to be in the back of your seats, strapped in for arrival. We will be at the Armstrong Moon Base at 1200 hours." Ryder and Cooper both cleared their heads and got up. Ryder suggested that Cooper go first in the bathroom while he prepared breakfast. The bathroom was cramped as usual, but Cooper was happy to have a hot shower. When he came out, Ryder already had breakfast ready for him. No pancakes this time, but some biscuits and gravy with eggs. "Wow, how did you do this so fast, Ryder?" "My secret, son." He winked as he headed for the bathroom. Then he turned back and said, "It's just more packets that I heat up. The pantry has more food choices than I thought. Way better than the rations I've eaten on some duties. Enjoy." The door closed behind him, and Cooper dug into his food. Ryder was right, he thought. These were good, almost as good as the homemade biscuits I tasted back in New Denver after I traded for some special rations. Ryder came out of the bathroom after a short time. He was dressed differently now in his full uniform. It was a royal blue color, and he had shiny black boots and a hat with a gold oak leaf shining out front. But what caught Cooper's eye was the rows and rows of medals on his left chest. Before Cooper had a chance to ask him about any of the medals, the beeping started to warn them that they only had 10 minutes left to get in their seats. Ryder grabbed a biscuit for himself and then cleared the table, carefully eating so as not to disturb his clean pressed uniform. They were back in their seats just in time for the slow descent to the moon base. Part 2, Training, Chapter 19, January 20th, 2201, Armstrong Moon Base Port. They reached the ground without incident, and Captain Merkel opened the outer doors, welcoming them to Armstrong Moon Base. Because of the gravity created by the deceleration on the second half of the trip, Cooper didn't feel much difference as he climbed out of the chair and grabbed his bag. They left the ship, thanking Merkel for the ride, and headed toward the main concourse. Cooper couldn't help but look up. They were in a vast cavern that was built underground on the moon, but above there was a semi-transparent material as the ceiling, so he could see the Earth, which was just rising over the horizon. He was now on a completely different world. He still couldn't believe this was happening to him. He felt a nudge from Ryder. "Cooper, it is time to go. I have another ship to rendezvous with, and you have to get to training." Ryder saw a look of dread in his eyes. "Don't worry," he reassured him with a smile. "Everything will be fine. You will learn something along the way." Cooper nodded, determined, and picked up the pace as they galloped their way to the main entrance of the terminal. There were a lot of people and equipment being moved around, and they stopped a few times to let luggage rigs move by. When they reached the entrance, a man was waiting for them. He looked like a trained soldier to Cooper's eyes. They stopped in front of him, and he was holding a sign that said Richardson. The man dropped the sign to one side, came to attention, and saluted as he saw Major Ryder get close to them. Ryder returned the salute and told the soldier to at ease. The soldier relaxed and held up the sign again. "Specialist, are you waiting for Cooper Richardson?" Ryder asked. "Yes, sir. I am under orders to take Cooper Richardson to cadet training, sir," the specialist said a little forcefully, which made Cooper laugh a little. "Relax, son. Everything is fine. Cooper is right here," Ryder said, trying to help the anxious young soldier relax. "Thank you, sir," the specialist said with a little less gusto. "Specialist, if you could wait over there for just a minute, I need to talk to Cooper." "Yes, sir. Thank you, sir," the specialist said as he moved over to the side of the terminal to wait. Then Ryder turned to Cooper. "This is where I must say my goodbye for now. I am headed back into the terminal to a waiting spaceship that will take me to another location. It has been a joy getting to know you over the past few days. I am so sorry that your dad didn't make it. Remember that he is always with you in your heart, and he will be proud knowing what you are going to do. Think of the advice I gave you on the trip. Try your best and never give up." Cooper gave him a big hug and thanked him for all his help. "Ryder, I appreciate all you've done for me." Then Ryder turned and went back out to the terminal door. Cooper slowly turned around, and the specialist was beside him. "My God," he said, "do you know who that was?" Yes, answered Cooper, that was Ryder. Yes, yes, that was Major Ryder, the specialist said with starstruck eyes. He is one of the greatest soldiers to ever live. Do you know that he single handedly stopped the rebellion of the Mars group? He is one of the heroes at this training base. You will learn all about him and others soon. Wow, the soldiers in my unit will never believe I met him. Geez, I wish I had shaken his hand or taken a picture with him. So, Cooper asked, can we go now? Acting unimpressed. Oh, yeah, right, the specialist said, coming back to reality. Let's go. The specialist turned and pointed in the direction of the expressway, and they started walking. By the way, my name is Specialist Donaldson. I am one of the assistants for the training unit. I completed cadet training a while ago, and now I transport the bigwigs in the unit. Well, mostly I'm just on details like maintenance and cleaning things. It is okay work. I guess it pays the bills, and I get to live here on the moon. What about you? How do you get to travel with Major Ryder? Donaldson asked, getting starstruck again. Before Cooper could answer, they reached the expressway. It was a set of pods that approached slowly, and the door would open, allowing entrance. Donaldson directed Cooper into the one closest to them. As they sat, he typed something into the small terminal. The door closed, and they moved on. So you were saying? Well, it's sort of a long story, Cooper started. I was living in New Denver, and then Donaldson interrupted. Wait, Richardson? You wouldn't happen to be related to Sarah Richardson, would you? Yes, she was my mom, Cooper said as he gazed down at the floor of the pod. No, really? Come on, man, you're making this up, Donaldson said, pushing Cooper to the side. Well, wait, yes, I suppose that makes sense. The son of someone as famous as your mom would need a high-powered escort. Wow, man. Two celebrities in one day. Crazy, man. I mean, your mom might be more famous than Major Ryder. The thing she did as a woman, she was one of the most famous female soldiers, astronauts of all time. Her picture is up on the Moon Museum. You will have to visit it sometime, maybe after basic training. So, how is training? Cooper asked. He wanted to know, but mostly he wanted to change the subject from his family. The cadet training? Donaldson said. Well, yeah, it sucks. I mean, training is training, right? So many push-ups and other junk. They will try to break you and bring you down, but man, just try to stay out of trouble. That is what I always tried to do, but shoots, if trouble didn't always find me. I got recycled a couple of times before they let me drop into a regular soldier training. Then I did great. But man, with your mom being who she is, this stuff will be easy. They probably won't even mess with you. It'll be a cakewalk, Donaldson said, slapping Cooper on the back. Um, okay, that sounds good. Cooper wasn't sure what else to talk about with Donaldson. He just seemed a little strange. Cooper felt the pod slow, and the terminal sounded a couple of beeps. Here we go, recruit. Let's go, Donaldson said as the doors opened and he pushed Cooper out. They walked down a couple of corridors. Donaldson was going at a pretty slow pace. When they reached a set of double doors, Cooper felt the impending doom. Donaldson opened the door and they proceeded into a large room. Standing before them was one of the biggest, meanest-looking men Cooper had ever seen. He looked over at Donaldson and Cooper with an air of extreme anger. Donaldson, he said, where the heck have you been? This made Cooper jump a little in surprise. Drill Sergeant, you know I had to go to the port to pick up Richardson. I'm back now, so don't worry, Donaldson reassured him. Donaldson doesn't seem to let anything bother him, thought Cooper, just before the drill sergeant's gaze turned on him. So, this is the young Cooper Richardson, he said as his eyes bored through almost to Cooper's soul. We have been waiting for you ever since we got word you were coming. You almost missed the beginning of cadet training. Well, you sort of look a little bit like your mother, but the question is, can you live up to her legacy? Do you think you're tough enough to be here? Cooper just looked up at the towering figure in front of him and was speechless. Well, Drill Sergeant said, speak up, boy. We don't have all day. This made Cooper jump back a little again, but he managed to get a little courage. Sir, Cooper started, but was immediately interrupted. Sir? The drill sergeant asked. Richardson, I work for a living. You will address me as Drill Sergeant or Drill Sergeant Voigt. Is that understood? Yes, Drill Sergeant, Cooper said as his courage was building. Now get down and give me 25 push-ups, yelled the drill sergeant. Cooper, still a little flustered, did the best to get down into the push-up position, as Ryder taught him just the other day. He started doing the push-ups. He heard Donaldson grunt a little, holding back the laughter. At about 10 push-ups, the drill sergeant was down and in his face, forcing Cooper to stop at the top of his push-up. Richardson, when you do push-ups, you will count them aloud as you finish each one. And don't let me see you cheating. When you go down, I want to see your elbows at a 90-degree angle before you come up. Is that understood? Void yelled in his face, spitting a little as he did. Cooper yelled back, Yes, drill sergeant, as he started again. 1, 2, 3. Good, good. We might make a cadet out of you yet, Voight said, with approval as he got to his feet to talk to Donaldson. When Cooper finished his push-ups, he was tired already. This was going to be a long 10 weeks, that was for sure. As he got to his feet, Voight yelled again, Richardson, who told you to get up? Did I say you had permission to return to your feet? No, drill sergeant, Cooper yelled as he got back down in the push-up position. Now give me 10 more push-ups and then ask permission before getting up, Voight commanded. Cooper got back down and started doing 10 more push-ups, making sure to say each one as he finished. While he was doing this, Voight was giving more instructions to Donaldson, who wore his usual nonchalant stare. As Cooper finished, he asked, Drill Sergeant Voight, permission to recover back to a standing position? Voight looked down. Good, good. You have permission to recover, Richardson. Cooper got to his feet and stood there waiting for what was next. Inside, he was struggling, but he knew that he had to maintain his composure, or it could get a lot worse. Voight finished talking to Donaldson and left the office. Donaldson turned to Cooper and just started laughing. Welcome to basic training, he said. He then beckoned Cooper to follow him. They went out the door and down a long corridor. The platoons were labeled with different animal signs. Donaldson pointed them out. These signs represent each basic training unit. You are assigned to Wolfpack. The unit will start formally training in 2 days. In the meantime, there are soldiers in the transition unit where they are picking up their gear. They have been doing this for a few days, but you should be able to catch up. They just went to chow, so we'll meet them there. Passing the next hallway, Cooper could smell the aroma of food and knew they must be getting close. They entered a set of double glass doors and went to a desk where a specialist was signing in other recruits. Donaldson high-fived the specialist behind the desk and they chatted for a moment. He then showed Cooper where to sign in for chow on the terminal. His ID number was W1968, which he would type in for any meal over the next 10 weeks of training. They went into the mess hall and lined up for chow. As Cooper moved to the front, he noticed they were having hamburgers tonight. Excellent! The soldier served the food, loaded up his plate with tater tots and some corn. Then he headed to the drink stand. They had soda here. Wow, what a treat! Most times in New Denver, he only drank water. After that, he found Donaldson and sat down near him. Man, Donaldson said, don't let Voight get to you. Yeah, he's hard, the hardest. But he will leave you alone if you don't talk back to him and do what you're told. I remember the first time I met him. He made me do push-ups for half an hour. I wasn't doing them to his standards, and I kept talking back, telling him I didn't want to do this crap. But now I just let the junk roll off me. It sucks that I'm stuck in this unit, though, as I still have to deal with those lousy drill sergeants. Everywhere you look, you see one of them, and they always are ready to yell at you if you don't have polished boots or an iron uniform. I get yelled at so often, I don't even care anymore. He popped a tater tot in his mouth and started chewing. Thanks, Donaldson, was all Cooper could think to say. After dinner, they headed over to the transition unit. It wasn't hard to find, as it was right next to the chow hall. Donaldson found the sergeant he was looking for and told him about Cooper. Crap, Donaldson, another one? Where do you find these kids? I already got this group through most of the initial pickup. All right, fine, the sergeant said loudly for everyone to hear. Richardson, front and center, he yelled, facing Cooper. Cooper ran over carrying his small pack and stood facing the sergeant. See you later, Cooper. Good luck, Donaldson said and disappeared out the door. As the sergeant looked Cooper over, he said, Geez, where the heck do they find these kids? Man, you are so young, and there's not much to you, is there? Richardson, huh? Wow, your mother is famous as heck. Her picture's up in the wall in the museum. You think you can live up to her history? I just don't know. Cooper didn't know what to say, so he just stood there staring. Well, my name is Sergeant Drum, and I am your training sergeant for the next day or two, before you go to Wolfpack for basic. While you are here, you will receive all of your uniforms and equipment. Do you have any questions for me? Cooper had a lot of questions, but he was afraid to ask them, so he just shook his head. Come with me, Drum instructed. They walked out the door and down the hallway to an office. Drum let him in and followed. Okay, wait here for a few minutes while I get your information loaded into the system. You can have a seat over there, Drum said as he gestured to a chair in the corner. Thank you, Sergeant Drum, Cooper yelled as he headed to a seat. Nice enthusiasm, Richardson. But you should save all your energy for basic. You're going to need it, he said, laughing as he went into the office. Cooper turned to the chair and sat down. Geez, he thought, is this the right decision? What the heck was I thinking? He wondered for a moment if he could sneak out the door and never come back. He had no idea what he would do instead, but it was probably just the fear of a new situation. Over an hour later, Drum came back into the room. Cooper got to his feet right away. Okay, Richardson, let's go. Cooper followed Drum as they headed out the door and down another corridor. They reached the barracks after another turn, and he heard a lot of activity and a bit of music. Drum entered the barracks, and someone yelled, Sergeant on the floor! Everyone stood up, and he heard the music shut off. At ease, cadets, Drum bellowed as the activity returned. They walked down the rows and rows of bunks until Drum found one that was empty with the blankets folded neatly on top. Here you go, Richardson. Take this one. Your wall locker's over there, and here's your bed. Just make it up as best as you can tonight, but we will be going over the proper making of the bed tomorrow. Get some rest as we start the day tomorrow at 0600 hours. That is 6 a.m. to you civilian folk. Drum turned quickly on his toes and was gone. None of the other recruits seemed to be interested in his presence, which was fine with Cooper. He worked on making his bed and found that the stack included a laundry bag and a towel, all in a bright blue color. He took the towel in his bag and headed to the bathroom at the end of the barracks to shower and get cleaned up before bed. He had never shared a shower with anyone. It was a weird experience to see so many of the other cadets walking around naked and chatting loudly. He got his shower done quickly, trying to avoid staring at anyone, then made his way back to the bed to dress in shorts and a t-shirt for the night. All of the other recruits seemed to have figured out the low gravity and got to and from the bathroom easily. He got into bed and pulled out his bag. He was feeling alone in this unfamiliar place. Then he remembered that he had the pack his dad gave him. He opened it up and unwrapped something from the linens that were carefully folded. It was the wooden box his dad brought out the day he told Cooper the truth about his heritage. He opened the box and noticed there was a letter on top. Dear Cooper, I know that everything I told you has probably come as a big surprise. It was hard to keep this secret from you for so long, but I didn't want the information to influence the life you would choose and your future. I realize now that I should have told you sooner, but my heart has been in pain for so many years. I didn't know how I could say these words. I thank you for listening when I finally did share and for not being angry with me. That means so much to me and shows just how mature you have become. I always worried about you and your trips topside, but I could see your desire to seek adventure, just like your mom. She truly was a hero, and her legacy will live on through you. The day I lost her, I lost a piece of who I am, and I have never been able to recapture it. I don't know if I will be successful at making the journey with you to Moonbase and possibly to Sperrier. If I am unable to finish the journey, please don't let this stop you from following your dreams. You are smart, courageous, and independent, and I know that you can do it. Make your mom and me proud. In this box are some of the mementos I saved. Keep these close to you so that you may always remember who you are and where you came from. I will always love you. Your dad, Mitch Richardson. Tears were streaming down Cooper's face as he finished the last line. Luckily, they announced lights out just about the time he finished, so no one could see that he was crying. He wrapped himself in his blanket and lay on the pillow, clutching the letter close to him. I will make them proud, he thought, and Ryder also. It was a rough day, and when he was being yelled at by the drill sergeant, all he could think about was quitting and saying, screw this. But somewhere deep in his heart, he knew he could do this. He knew he needed to do this. As he lay there on the bunk, he heard other people around him snoring and turning in their bunks. Again, another weird situation, because his dad was a quiet sleeper. He heard people talking in their sleep and even a few crying. He realized he wasn't alone with his feelings. Jeez, he was here on the moon. Just a week ago, he was walking on the streets of New Denver without a care in the world. Chapter 20, January 21st, 2201, Cadet Transition Unit 1. Cooper wasn't sure when he finally fell asleep, but waking was abrupt as the lights snapped on and he heard Sergeant Drum yell for everyone to get up, make their beds, and get out to formation for chow. He got up and got ready. It was probably going to be a long day. He stored the letter back in the box and put it in the wall locker. He changed quickly, noticing that many of the other recruits were already heading outside. When he got out of the barracks, he noticed a big room he hadn't seen before. The recruits were lining up in rows of 10. He got into a line and kept his mouth shut. When they were all there, Drum yelled, "Platoon, attention!" Cooper followed what the others were doing. It seemed they were used to this. "Platoon, right face! Forward, march!" They all turned awkwardly with the low gravity and proceeded slowly out the door and toward the chow hall. The march really wasn't a march, it was more of a gallop, like Ryder had taught him. Luckily, Cooper was fairly coordinated and picked up the movement quickly. After chow, they were headed back to the barracks for cleanup. They were told to make sure it was spotless. Right away, he noticed many weren't working. "Geez, man," one big guy said. "We aren't in basic training yet, so I ain't doing anything right now. This stuff doesn't matter." His tune changed quickly when he heard, "Sergeant on the floor!" from the front. The big guy got to his feet and waited. "Let me tell you something," Drum yelled as he walked down the rows of barracks. "This has to be the sorriest bunch of recruits I have ever seen. Geez, can't the recruiters do any better? I told you recruits to come back in here and clean up my barracks. That doesn't mean you sit on your bunks and take another nap. It means you get off your butts and get to work. I want to see my barracks spotless, better than when you got here. If you can't get this right, we will send you back where you came from, and you will never even make it to basic. Is that clear?" "Yes, Sergeant!" all the recruits yelled in unison, even the big guy. "Now I will be back here in half an hour to take all of you to pick up more equipment. If these barracks aren't perfect by then, you will not go to basic this cycle. Have I made myself clear?" Drum continued. "Yes, Sergeant!" "Now at ease and get to work." And with that last command, Drum was back out the door. "Crap!" the big guy said and got to work making his bed. This was the most exciting part of the day for Cooper. After getting the approval from Sergeant Drum on the barracks, they headed out to the quartermaster area to pick up gear. They would get their spacesuits for training later, but for now, they were given a heavy pack that was loaded with all the equipment they needed. They issued Cooper combat boots, which were better than the boots he wore when freelancing. Everything was in blue, even his underwear. The uniform was blue overalls with Richardson stitched on the top right chest and Space Recruit on the left side. He stood in long lines with other recruits, and there was nothing to do while waiting. He even fell asleep a few times while standing in line. Next came the dreaded haircut. For some reason, those in charge believed that cutting off the recruits' hair helped them lose their individuality. Cooper didn't have long hair, but when he looked in the mirror after the cut, he wasn't sure who he was looking at. They had only left him a quarter-inch of black stubble on his head. Finally, they went to medical where he received many vaccinations and was tested on his fitness for duty. Passing all the tests, he headed out into the hallway where the rest of the recruits were already finished. They marched back to the barracks to rest a little, but were told to be in proper uniform and outside at 1800 hours for chow. He dressed in the new uniform, the socks and the boots. He was surprised at how comfortable and new everything was. After chow, they were told to enjoy their last night because tomorrow they would be heading to basic training. For some reason, probably because he was so tired, Cooper found it much easier to fall asleep that night. He was still nervous and on edge, but he was ready for whatever they threw at him.